Thank you. Good, mate. How are you?
Thank you, Joey.
PNG.
Coffee's here. Joey's back in his cuck chair. That's good.
In the cuck chair.
What did you play? Did you play no again?
Yeah.
How'd you go?
At Narrabri.
How was it?
Yeah, it was good fun. We didn't win. They played Gunnedah. The Gunnedah had a handy little side, but a bit different.
Yeah.
Dropping back the level. First couple of passes I threw across the front of guys, and I was like, run onto. And then I was like, I got to pass it to them. They run onto it like they're meant to. So it was a bit of step, but it was good, mate. There was like Narrabri was a buzz. Got out there. Everyone I spoke to was like, so good, you're out here and that. Did a clinic. They had probably 60, 70 kids all turned up.
It's so those country towns like light up. For
well, they did it, and then they had massive turnout. They reckon they hadn't had a turnout for the game since like the 90s. So the club made a heap of money through the gate and all that, which was the whole idea of getting out there and amongst it. So,
how's the body?
Yeah, body's all right actually.
Yeah,
played 60 minutes.
What starts hurting first?
Nah, little stiff, slightly stiff lower back, but that's about it.
Do you worry about the halves and the calves and hammies going, or
Nah, I've never really done any sort of soft tissue
never?
or anything. Not really. Nah, I've never had hammy issues, calf issues, so they're all sweet.
Nice.
The footy's not, freakishly fast out there, so it's that old tough.
What about you, Benny? Hello, welcome back.
Hello. Good to be
How's
back.
the body? You haven't been up too much, have you?
Sure, feeling a bit sorer than Jimmy, I think. I'm doing all right. So as long as you don't kick me under the desk, I think I'll get through.
Going to take us through what you've been up to?
So just had surgery on the ankle, just basically cleaned up a bunch of rubbish in there, just bone that isn't where it should be and ligaments that weren't connected anywhere from years of soccer. So, a few years in the making, but had it done. So, just had to get it cleaned out and now just got to stay off it and figure out how to carry drinks while you're on crutches.
You'll get there.
Yeah.
So you're 3 in Dan's End this morning, so it should be a fun show. Well, we've set you the homework from last week, Jimmy. New South Wales team.
New South Wales.
And Benny, you can jump on board as well for yours in a second.
I was going through that this morning and tell you what, there's so many different decisions you need to come up with. Obviously, I found, forward pack for me looks a little bit different to last year. Some without, some with guys I think aren't in that good a form. Interesting going through, I realise we've got a lot of good left centres.
We do.
So there's a lot of competition for that left centre, but I think Latrell's an absolute lock for that. So it's.
I wonder if that's why Crichton's been playing on the right the last few weeks.
Well, I'm not sure. I know, obviously, Crichton has done it before and can do it. You know that. Then you sort of and ah with, do you move Critter to the wing, because he can also play at the wing, and which gives you a lot defensively, and bring in Bradman Best or someone like that, who's obviously a very good centre. But then, you could go that way, but without having conversations with guys to whether they've played right side, I think I've sort of steered clear of that.
So if you're 1 to 7, what's your 1 to 7?
1 to 7, all right, Dill Edwards at the back, Addo Carr's on left wing outside Latrell, and then Crichton's right centre with Brian Toto going over the other side with Crichton, Moses and Cleary in the halves.
Beautiful. Benny, you've done the same. How have you got TVs
same as that,
up?
except I'd llove to see Teddy back in there. And I know he moved on, but I think he's the form fullback. And
You went Addo Carr as well?
I had Addo Carr as well.
Really?
So I had, because for a long time I only switched that late. I was looking at Campbell Graham or Bostock on the right wing, but then the attraction of his speed, because if I'm picking it, I'm trying to find Latrell Mitchell with early ball as much as I can. And I think the added speed out there, if he can hold him off and put someone away, I think that's sort of why he got over there. For a long time I had Toa on the left, where he's played in recent years, and either Jack Bostock or Campbell Graham, but sort of made the late switch.
I'm pretty much in agreement, except I went with Campbell Graham. I
Yeah.
think he
Well,
was very good again on the weekend. And Jeff Bostock had an outstanding game, actually.
Well,
I watched him
as I
last
said,
week,
that
he was very good on
there's
on
no
Thursday.
knock on that.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking at for a long time, and I just changed it up at the end there, and I thought the value of that speed, because I feel like in my head I can remember a few sort of half gone with Bizza getting down, but they're just not having that breakaway speed, and then cover defence coming.
He's
and
got
having
about that 30-metre sprint, doesn't he?
yeah,
Just
having to
like
pull up. So I just that's what got the Foxy out there.
He's done it before as well in the Origin arena, right?
Yeah,
and
outside
that
Latrell.
Outside Latrell,
Yeah.
they've got that combination working before. He's got the experience. My kind of concern, I think, probably with like a Bostock is, it's fresh. Do you want that fresh face when you can go with the experienced? And let's say,
Well, everyone's got to be
Yeah.
fresh at some point.
But let's-
you know,
but- yeah.
like if you think back to 2018 when Freddie came in, I played with all these young kids. That was that car fresh, all those, and it worked wonders. I think you can't go wrong picking a guy. Campbell Graham and Bostock both playing good footy. I don't think it'd be a wrong decision to pick them, but yeah, just the way I've gone.
so moving on. So we got 8 to 13. Your two props to start with, and your hooker and your back
Righto,
rows.
I've gone Fanua Blake and I didn't realise Barnett was back. I'll start Barnett as well, okay? Fanua Blake and Barnett, Reece Robson at 9. Back rowers, Hudson Young and Olakau'atu, Cam Murray at lock.
What about you, Benny?
Yeah, so I'm a tad different. So I at prop, I've also got Mitch Barnett, but I've got Big Stefano, who for me I think he's not necessarily as you go. He's not going to be an overly popular one, but I actually think he's been playing quite good footy this year, and he's just going to give you just that tick up from like what Max King gave you last year, where it's just consistent. I think he's not going to give you the errors. He's just going to be that perfect man for the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes to wear the brunt, and then we get on to the more damaging game out wide when you really bring the back rowers and you bring your wingers in. But that first 15, 20 minutes of hard Origin, I'd like him in there. So I've got that. I've also got Robson. I'd go. I think Angus Crichton's done enough over the years to warrant a starting spot. So I got Angus Crichton and I got Hudson Young.
Wasn't there injury concerns over
He
him?
played on the weekend,
Yeah.
so he had a back
Yeah, right.
issue, but apparently it's okay.
Yeah, right.
Because I was.
there you go. See, maybe he can be in there somewhere as
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
Maybe he go put. Yeah, oh, geez, Sunday.
And who do you have at 13?
Cam Murray.
Yeah, I've also got Cam Murray at 13.
Make
I
it
think
3 for Cam
Yeah.
Murray. We ran a poll on news.com.au sport page yesterday, Yo versus Murray for Origin. It was about 66% in favour of Cam Murray.
He's a good footballer,
What does
mate.
Cam Murray bring to a side
He's
like this?
unbelievable at creating a quick play the ball, which is Origin. All you want to do is create ruck speed. So, yeah, he's a walk up start. Cam Murray, he's such a good player. I know they've played him in the back row in other games, but I think around that middle of the field, he tidies up a lot of work. Very similar to Yo. But I think, Olakau'atu's in awesome form out there, and I think Hudson Young's really, really good form as well, and, such leg speed and that. I like picking guys in Origin that have got quick leg speed. No way I could pick Stefano, unfortunately. I just think watching Melbourne for weeks and weeks, they've just lacked punch.
Yeah.
So I think, Stefano's a big body and you want punch out of him. I don't think he's given it that at the moment. So, yeah.
And on your bench, well, speaking of that, you're obviously probably putting Yo on your bench. Who else are you picking there?
Yeah. Yeah, well, see, so I've got Ethan Strange at 14. I think he covers so many positions across your backs. He's a half, but he can play centre. I think he goes on and can play hooker well. Dynamic, fast runner, strong. So I'd have him there. And then sitting on the bench, you got Barnett. Barnett I put starting Jackson Ford. Obviously good form. Yowie, Lindsay Smith. That's me three bench. And then you got the bigger ones. So then you're probably looking at Connor Watson I'd put there in case, obviously, if you had an injury and needed to move strains, then you can still put Connor in there and have that 2-hooker system. And then I reckon on that last spot, I'm sort of tossing up. I'd put Crichton in there as well, because I thought he was injured. Either Trey Mooney, who I think's been playing well. I like his aggressive nature and that, or a Victor Radley. So
Victor would be great for Origin. I was a bit different, but I've also got Strange at 14. I think it's the versatility to play in the halves, play out at centre, play almost even that connecting role through the middle if need be. I think he offers so much. I'd go Olakau'atu. I think he's the informed back row of the comp. He's so damaging. He looks fit and firing, and he's the last person you want to see warming up on the sideline. Similar
He takes the Lenya role, doesn't he, this year?
I think he kind of, although they're very different players.
So you've got Olakau'atu on the bench. He's going to come and play back row, obviously.
I'd have him in the back row.
So who's not going to play 80 minutes in your back row?
Well, I don't think Gus is a fully fit Gus at the moment. So I'd play Gus for 50 to 60 or, and let's say even if you take Gus off at the kind of 25, 30-minute mark, probably 30-minute mark more so, and then you bring Olakau'atu on there. You've got fresh legs for 10 minutes at the back end of the half after a grueling, first 20 minutes, half an hour through footy. Like, I reckon the last person you want to see coming on with 10 to go and the lactic acid starting to build up is Olakau'atu. And then
you can flip them too. You could start Olakau'atu and you have Crichton come on and get through to that grunt work.
Absolutely.
Through the middle for the back end.
And he's also, he's obviously used to playing on the right as well, whereas when you do have, the tricky part is, I guess you do have Gus and Hudson who are both left side back rowers. So you would have to flip one over. So I guess you could. I don't really have a strong opinion on starting or benching, but I think them working in tandem together would be really good and bring out kind of the best both has to offer. I think Olakau'atu over 80 minutes, I think you lose. He's been brilliant the last couple of weeks, obviously, but you lose a bit of that impact like you do for any back row that plays 80 minutes. And so I think if you kind of reel back the minutes of both of them by 20 or 25 minutes, then, geez, you get a lot of power and destruction. Also, who else have I got there? I've got Jackson Ford. I think he's the inform prop in the comp at the moment, so I think he kind of picks himself. I'd go Fanua Blake off the bench. I wouldn't start him. As I said, I've lent Stefano, which Jimmy's basically told me I'm an idiot, but I'd lean Stefano still, and I think Fanua Blake with the punch off the bench offers a bit more that way. I think, what's that? That's 5. And then Connor Watson would be my final one for the same utility value that we speak about. He can relieve Robson for 20 minutes or as required. He can also play that lock role if need be, or kind of just work in wherever you need. But realistically, I don't think you're using Connor Watson.
Now, with the team you've picked, Jimmy, putting your assistant coach hat on once Laurie gives you a call this week, how are you setting up Dev Murray? How are you setting up your halves? How is this New South Wales team going to attack?
Look, I think a lot of it, they need to play off their halves. I wouldn't have them playing out the back behind the 2 forwards and that like they have. I don't think that's the way to go in Origin. So I think a lot of them you'd be using them as runners of the football. But all guys, you look at them, they're guys that have got leg speed. Cam Murray, fast leg speed. Isaiah Yeo, good leg speed around the middle. Those Hudson Young out there, Olakau'atu damaging, Ethan Strange coming on leg speed around the middle. I think that's where you need to be able to attack. I think as guys get tired, the players that can keep their leg speed around the middle of the field, and then obviously if you're threatening that ruck, then you create some space out wide, or you go the other way, you're moving the ball out wide, and then as they pull apart, you need leg speed to attack them back through the middle. So, so I think a lot of the play needs to be off Moses and Cleary playing flat at the ad line.
Do you think we almost get caught playing a bit Penrith style, where that's kind of the Yoey's the kind of link man all the time? Do you think that's been a bit of a fault?
Yeah, well, they have in the past, but I think you can still pick Yo in there, like as I have, but I just don't play that style. I think you encourage Cleary and Moses to step up and get the ball, that all you need in Origin is ruck recognition. So as soon as you get a decent play the ball, you want Moses or Cleary with the ball in their hands, going at the defence with options around them, asking questions.
Would you get them in first receiver role as opposed to like a second receiver role?
No, well, if you're in the middle of the field, they'll probably be first either side. If they're in, over to the side, they can link up together. I think typical spine play, your spine should always be interconnected. Whether they're running down short sides or just playing to each other.
So a lot of this series especially is going to be like, assuming Cleary gets picked, which you just have to think, right? He's been the best player in the comp this year. He's on fire. He's brilliant.
Of course he'll be picked.
Right, but there's always that Origin question above him, right? That he hasn't really performed in Origin yet, right? Now, do you think this year's going to be different? Or do you think, again, he's going to struggle to have that big moment? Do you think it's almost a mental thing where he has those doubts a bit where it gets to the crunch time? Because he does it time and time again at Penrith, but he hasn't really been able to consistently do it for the Blues.
No, I think if I think back to the series last year, I just think New South Wales didn't perform anywhere near where they should have for 2 of the 3 games. Mm-hmm. So that's not just Cleary, that's the side. The side didn't perform anywhere near where they should have. The second game they played a half of footy and actually ended up scoring more tries and lost on conversions. But just as a side, they weren't anywhere near where they should have been for 2 or 3 games. And I don't know how that happens. Like in the Origin arena, I don't know how you can not be at your best on those 3 games. So
is that Laurie's fault? Is that the halves' fault? Is that?
Well, I don't know. I'm not in camp, so I'm not sure what the thing. But it's all of them. Like you're picking these blokes you're picking are the sort of top echelon of their game. Like there's an individual responsibility on them to play well, but then obviously, you need to be playing the right style of footy. I think for a long time, New South Wales, we haven't used our centres. We've had some unbelievable centres, and we don't give them anywhere near enough opportunities. So a lot of the time they're only touching the ball out the back of a block play, short along from the thing. I think Latrell last year, I remembered most of the time he was catching the ball. He was getting jammed and he was quick hands, creating space for Tyler. So, I think they need to find their centres with some space, and then I think you got leg speed around the middle where they need to attack Queensland as they get tired.
So do you reckon it's a tactical issue then? Like it's just the game plan's not right?
Well, I don't know because I'm not in camp, so I don't know what they're.
But what you're seeing at the game or on the TV, like it's not.
Well, game 3 last year, they didn't play any footy. Yeah. So I sat in the stands and watched them at the start. They moved the ball a bit and they started looking good, and then it felt. I reckon they controlled field position, and kicked and landed it, 5 metres out nearly every time. But then there was no urgency to get behind the ball, to pull shape and to throw anything back. So it doesn't matter how much you control field position. If you go hit up, kick, you're not going to find points. So they need to get behind the ball. That's Origin. You get tired, but you got to move and get where you need to be and play some footy.
Because for years and years, right, Queensland love Blues don't get Origin. Like they're not, and it always grinds my ears a bit because I know just as a fan how passionate, obviously not a footy player, how passionate I am for it and how much I love it, right? And I've said to Dags, I bloody want us to always just flog them, right? But we don't. And it's frustrating when you look on paper, pretty much, since the retirement of, your Thurstons, your Cronks, your Slaters, we've had the better team on paper. But we haven't been able to have that dynasty that they had. So, there's got to be an issue there, whether it's your culture, whether it's your tactics, whatever, that is going wrong. Do you have any theory on that?
As I said, I didn't think they were playing enough footy yesterday. I mean, last year, don't think they've found their centres, and we've had centres has always been a real strong point for New South Wales. We've had some brilliant centres, so. Again, the only way you win footy games is by playing to the strengths of your side. So if you've got really strong centres but you're not putting them in positions where they can do anything, then you're sort of not playing to your strengths, are you? So For a long time, I think that's where we had the advantage. We was to move the ball. Queensland just wanted to, they might not have been as gifted or as talented, but they just bring you into this dogfight where we're not playing footy, we're just going to grind it out, and I think, if you fall into that, then you even the playing field. So you've got to look at the side you pick. Whatever side Laurie picks, that side's got to be picked on how they're going to play. They're going to play to the strengths of those players, and that's the style they're going to play. So I think that's the key. It's not a matter of just picking the best 13 players. I think because if you're looking at a style of play or how you're going to play footy, if that player doesn't suit that style, then you're better off picking a bloke who's going to suit how you want to play the game.
If you're talking creativity-wise, then and you're talking about threats out wide, why would you lean Dylan Edwards over like a James Tedesco?
Because I don't think you need Dylan Edwards is going to get you out of your end. He's going to set your defensive line really well. So is Teddy, but I think in terms of bringing you out like running out of your own end, Dylan Edwards and Brian Toto are going to get you out of that end a heap better. I think he'll run for 250 odd metres. So will Bizarre. I don't think Teddy's probably that thing. Teddy's that attacking. Yeah, he's that attacking weapon. But I reckon you've got Moses, Cleary, find an early ball. You don't necessarily need to play, block shape out the back where Teddy's finding, ice and 3-on-2s. Dill Edwards has got very good at that later in his career, but he's a runner. Dill too. His support play, mind you, Teddy's been very good at support, but I just don't know now, like why you drop Dill. Like I don't know what he's done to be dropped. He's tough. He's built for that Origin style of football, and to go back, a few years ago or whatever, they made the call that they weren't going to pick Teddy and go Dill. So I don't know what the benefit is of now going back. Like Teddy's got a year in him. Like what's he going to do at the end of the year?
The last 3 years.
Yeah, but when's he going to retire? Like a year, 2 years time. So what's the incentive to go back to someone like that? Like, what do you get out of Teddy that you don't get out of Dill?
I think you get way more attacking flair. You've got way more support around the ruck. You've got way more. He's built a really good. I think the biggest asset that he's built in the last 2-3 years is a little deft kicking game, and like that recognition of. I think for years in Origin, it got to a point where he felt like he had to do it all. Right, like, and you'd see him slip over all the time, and sometimes you're like, just give the ball, Teddy. Right, whereas I feel like now he's actually built a lot better recognition there to, maybe I do just dish up, you turn your back row over, it's not on out wide, or I'm going to put in a little grubber, I'm going to do that. I just think if I'm Queensland's defence, it's a lot easier to defend Dylan Edwards than it is to defend James Tedesco. And if you're talking about moments and creating those one-on-ones that Origin's built on, I think Tedesco does that more than what Edwards does. That doesn't, that's not meant to disrespect Edwards. I think he's a brilliant footballer and one of the top fullbacks in the game. I just think he's more of a structured fullback, and he is. He gives you the metres out the back, but if you're struggling for, scoring those points and creating those opportunities, I just think Tedesco gives you more.
Yeah, I don't think my side would struggle for points. I think we've got plenty of points in there. As I said, I would be looking for Dill, and I think one of Dill's fit as anyone on the field. So I reckon that support play through the middle, Dill would be all over. So.
Did you have much? I'll just ask about Dylan Edwards himself. He's obviously a bit of a quieter character. I don't hear lots about him. Did you have much to do with him at Penrith? And
yeah, he come
because his first year he couldn't catch a cold in some games, but he's now an incredible fullback.
I think originally Dill was just a runner. Yeah. When he first come through, he's developed, the fullback out the back 3-on-2 and being able to ice that. That's where I think if there's a clear bias to Teddy, I think that's where Teddy is with his ball playing and stuff like that. He has that ability. But in terms of, just being a runner of the football, I think Dill that's what he has been like. That's been the strength to his game for so long. So, I just think, fit as if anyone lobs through and you just talk to him about just pushing through the middle of that field and doing that. I think he'll do that. He does for Penrith. He does a lot. Tackle, carry tackle 4 or whatever to get him a kick and create, a play the ball to kick off the back of. So, yeah, I just think that's an easy one there.
Let's have a look at the Queensland side. I haven't set the task of picking them yet, but they've lost Tom Dearden on Thursday night, who was in very, very good form.
That's a big loss.
Syndesmosis, he'll be out for the whole series. Who would you look at for your halves? There's been talk of does Ponga come in at 6? There's Fogarty.
I wouldn't play Ponga
Ezra
at 6.
Would you break the glass and dust off DCE? Would you?
I know, mate. It could be an option as a temporary. How long's Tommy out for?
6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks, so at least 2 games he'll miss.
Yeah, right. You know what? I suppose that's a decision. I suppose you go back, you're going to have... I think they'll pick Walsh and Ponga. I think both of those will be there. I think probably, if it was me, I'd probably put Walsh at 1, play Ponga off the bench.
Yeah.
That'd be a nightmare to defend both of those two on the field, how they're going. So I suppose Munster, you know what, it probably wouldn't be the worst thing to go back to Cherry Evans. Just experience, kicking game.
Yeah.
What about like Sam Walker?
Yeah, well, mate, I think Sam Walker's a brilliant player. I think he'll play in that arena for sure, but I just think, do you need that now? Cherry Evans, I think, probably got a better kicking game, long kicking game than Sam Walker. So what are you doing? Munster, not a like he kicks, but
He does have a big boot, though. He's not a...
Yeah, but not really a noticeable in terms of someone for game management. Like if you're Queensland, you're going to have, if you're talking a Reece Walsh, a Kalen Ponga,
I imagine Walsh would have to take on a fair bit of kicking, actually, and to get him out of trouble.
Well, yeah, and same Ponga can do the same thing. Whoever plays one will do a lot of kicking.
Yeah.
But you literally just said when you're talking about why go back to Teddy because we've moved on, made the decision. Queensland made the decision to move on from DCE.
Yeah, but we're not injured. He's not injured. You're overlooking a bloke who's playing in a side that's pretty much at the top of the comp.
Yeah,
and in good form. That this is not the same situation. This is shit. We've lost one of our walk-up start halves.
Yeah, but you got Sam Walker there. That's you even said he's going to play heaps of Origin games.
Yeah.
He's one for the future. And
I
I
just said because I think what he gives you in game management and kicking game. So
would you go someone like a Tanner Boyd then? He's got a great kicking game.
Nah. He's not no. I don't think Tanner Boyd will play state Morton footy.
Neither do I, but if it's
So
kicking
then
game...
why are you picking him?
Because I think he's got, arguably has got a
Because
kicking
you're a New
game.
South Welshman. As a New South Welshman, I'd pick him. Fucking oath.
Fogarty? Is Fogarty half I suppose he's the next best kicking game if you're not going to
Yeah,
DCE.
look, there's not a knock on them, but I just think they're stock
go for the
standard.
safe.
They're your stock standard.
Yeah.
Heart, what? They're the same as Cherry Evans, but they probably don't have the experience. They don't have the game, the match, like the feel for games and that.
If you're as a 5'8" yourself, for example, would you prefer to be outside of DCE or a sort of makeshift half?
Well, I suppose the question is, and I haven't seen heaps, but there's been some remarks about Cherry Evans defensively this year at the Chooks, which would be your concern.
But, so that's also why you couldn't play Ponga there. Because the whole thing, remember when the Knights tried to play Ponga in the halves and he kept getting concussed and just couldn't get the tackling right?
Why would you put a guy who's so dynamic and offers so... Why would you put him in a defensive line where a side could just fucking take so much of that away from him?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. So
does Ben Hunt make that 20?
Nah.
Not anymore?
I don't think so.
He's the other option, I guess. Yeah.
Well, unless you... Yeah.
We worry about defensive hooker, halfback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it would be worth if you're them. Look, you could go to a Sam Walker. I think he's a very good player, but I just think, I suppose it depends. Reece Walsh can kick you out of trouble, so maybe if you're sort of not worried about kicking game, maybe you can manage like that and you pick a Walker. I was just off the top of my head. I thought that just a calm head who's done it before. You know, you're not bringing him there expecting him to fucking play the lights out. You just say, mate, or just cover a spot, kick us into good positions, be that calm head. You know, there's plenty of guys. You know, Walsh can get the ball first receiver off the ruck. Ponga can get it first receiver. Munster can get it. There's plenty there of attacking flair.
So as a half in Origin, how's it different to playing NRL footy? Like, what are the differences?
Whether you just don't, the game's sort of more non-stop, so it's not your set starts, you know, I think. And that's sort of, I suppose, across the course of the season, you know, it gets a little bit similar come semi-final time, because semi-final times they sort of tend to blow less penalties and all that. So it's just a matter of being able to get your footy on in the back and forth, the to and throw of that, not waiting for a set start where you've got everyone behind the ball from the first tackle and then you can run your set. It's the ability to kick the ball, get behind the ball, get into shape, get your plays on, find some momentum, find an opportunity to ask a question. So, that's why I think ruck recognition is so important. And I think, you know, Cherry Evans, having played for so long in that arena, would give Queensland that.
So yourself, did anything take you by surprise when you made your Origin debut? Were you like, oh, geez, I didn't expect this?
No, look, I think probably my second game, like my debut, we played really well. We won. We were on the front foot all game, and I probably underestimated a little bit. I sort of went, oh, you know what? It wasn't as bad as I was sort of thinking. And then I think it all come crashing down in game two where it went completely flip. And I think when you talk about game management and that's where what you get out of the experience like Cherry Evans, how you can change the game or have an impact and affect the outcome when you're on the back foot, you know, because you can't, if you're not winning, you know, if you're not getting punched and you're not making ground, you can't just go, oh, well, we lost because we couldn't make ground. Well, okay, what do you do? How do you change that? How do we find momentum? If we're not going straight through the middle of them, how do we do it? Okay, now we need to move them around, find our back rowers on their halves, you know, check short sides, all that, those little things. And I just think the experience of someone who's played in that probably understands that a little bit better.
How much, like, weighting mental and physical, right? Because both of them play major aspects in a footy game. When you're struggling, you're not getting much ball, you're getting weighed down. What amount of that battle of being like, oh crap, this is not working, is mental, and how much of it is physical because you're having to make more tackles, you're having to be on the back foot?
Yeah, well, I think it's all mental because footy's tough physically all the time, but, you know, it's tough because when you get tired, your head tells you, I'm tired, oh, I'm sore, I'm hurting it. But you can always do what you want to. You've just once you're in your head can say, yeah, I'm sweet, we can do it. Your body will do it, you know. And I think, you know, guys that have played at the top level understand that when you feel tired, you're not even close to what you can actually do. So it's always a mental thing, and being able to, when you feel tired, and that's, you know, Origin that have been decided time and time again around guys just taking that soft option of just walking for a couple of steps when the ball's away from them, and then all of a sudden someone comes through and, oh, that's where I should have been, getting caught out. So it's all mental.
Yeah. Was that like something that you had to find out the hard way, or is that something that you always had where you were mentally tough from the start, where you felt that no matter what, I'm going to push through the pain, I'm going to push through the exhaustion?
Yeah, I used to always, I suppose, in my head, you know, when I started feeling tired, I used to sort of just tell myself, well, this is what determines the good players and the not so good. You know, everyone can do it when they feel good, when they feel fresh. The good players can do it when they're tired, you know. So I was always just trying conscious as soon as I sort of had my ass hanging out, and I was like, oh no. I was like, righto, this is where if you want to be a good player, this is where they do it.
Who was the best you played with it at just being tough for 80 minutes? Like, you knew would be there in the trenches in the 81st minute.
Thurston and guys like that, you see them, like, time and time again, like just come up with big efforts. When he was super fit, Thurston, but he was just competitive. He was just there when, you look at, even was that years ago that Lockyer when there was like a bad pass from there went down. And,
Noddy, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then he just shot through and picked it up. Like if you just don't get off the line there, you don't. No, there's nothing bad, but if you don't get there, you're not there to pick that ball up and go through. And it's just guys that constantly put themselves in the picture just in case, and then if it comes off, they're there. So
when you were doing tape as a player, you wouldn't have done too much. It would have been done by the coaches a lot, right? But was a lot of that focus on identifying players that were a bit fragile defensively when they got tired?
Yeah, look, you're looking for weaknesses, and that's why I think, when we're going through this list, I think, if I haven't looked at guys' habits, and I think habits are a big thing. I think that's why you can take a little bit of confidence picking guys out of good clubs and good systems that are coach good habits. That's why for so long, you could pick a Craig Bellamy, a kid out of Melbourne, and you knew he'd do it because, that's drilled. That's a Craig Bellamy trait, drilled, just good habits.
Like Stefano.
And things like that, yeah. So, but I think if you're the coach, that's what you got to do. And I think that's why Billy Slater, that he understands that, So he looks very closely at different guys' habits and understands the ones that they need to pick, because it's not always on flair that you win Origin. It's on the toughness, on turning up when you don't feel well. So, and that all comes back to your habits.
Money where your mouth is. Who's your 7 for Queensland then?
Sam Walker. I think absolutely 100% Sam Walker.
You throw anyone else into the Queensland team that others might not have thought of?
Not off the top of my head. I would be. I saw Cameron Smith actually said he would have picked Kalen Ponga at number 1, and I'd be tempted to. I think I've flip-flopped back. I do have to consider my Newcastle bias, and I do love KP. So, but I do think as a whole he offers a more complete package than Reece Walsh, but Reece Walsh offers more individual game-winning moments. I think sometimes Reece Walsh can overplay his hand. And that can be costly, but at the same time, you've got a man that literally needs, similar to Latrell, he can do 3 things and they are just brilliant and win you a game. And he has that mentality in Origin where, okay, I've stuffed up 2-3 times, but I'm still going and I'm still going to back myself and I'm still going to trust myself to throw this cut out and I'm still going to, but yeah, I'd be tempted to go KP at fullback over Reece Walsh, but that's probably the only one that would stand out to me.
I think they'll go, like you could go either or there. Like it's not really a concern. Like they're both lethal, because at some point they'll be both on the field together. And if you're New South Wales, that's a dangerous thought. But yeah, I don't think you could go wrong with picking either of them.
It's almost like KP's detriment is he works better as a 14 than Reece Walsh might. Because Reece Walsh is a fullback.
Bigger body.
Be in the middle, he can be in the line.
More, stepper and stuff like that. That's sort of why I put it that way. I think he's just a little bit more, could be more dynamic around the ruck there, just as a bit bigger body. If things aren't going well, then Reece Walsh, where I think you get him a bit wider and his speed and that is just dynamite.
But then maybe if you bring Walsh off the bench for the last half hour,
as I said,
like they're both going to be terrifying coming on.
Exactly,
right?
That's what I said. It wouldn't matter which way you do it, mate. They'll work.
I do think though, if we're talking about who's more likely to throw that intercept and make that error, it is going to be Reece Walsh, and that I think probably as a Blues fan, I would actually probably prefer Walsh at fullback because he is probably going to do something brilliant, but he is more likely to overplay his hand, I think, to KP, who sometimes just, when it's not on, same type of thing I talked about with Tedesco that's got better over the last few years, is recognising when something's not on. And it's okay. If it's well defended, that's okay. Sometimes just take the tackle. Whereas I think sometimes Walsh gets in this zone where he feels like every time he's sweeping out the back, he's got to make something happen. And I think that's the big development that will come in his game. He's a brilliant footballer, but I think sometimes he does throw that extra pass. And, in Origin, that can be a difference.
Really like what I've seen. I think Billy might look at some of those Dolphins forwards. Fuiaki's been really good. Max Plath is. When you talk about effort players, they're the sort of guys I think that'll come into contention this year. Tommy Flegler's back. That'll be a good story for Queensland. Helam Lukey. Yeah, so they're the sort of ones that I can see Billy heading towards. Origin speculation has made this show fly by, so let's skip straight to, which there's nothing better to do, to talk about, I should say. Let's have a look at what's ahead. Magic round. What's got us frothing, Benny? What have got you excited this weekend?
The Sharks-Dogs game, actually. I think they were both shocking on the weekend. I think they both have such quality, but geez, they know how to put in a shocking performance. I reckon Cronulla will bounce back. The Dogs just have shown nothing for me, but I think it'll be a very interesting game, no matter which way it goes.
Looking forward to the Roosters-Cowboys game, and the Bunnies-Dolphins should both be crackers. There's a fair few decent ones up there. Jimmy, what have you got on this weekend, and what are you looking forward to up in Brisbane?
Yeah, I'm just having a look here. I reckon Warriors-Bronx.
The cracker Sunday, yeah.
That'll be good. I reckon, obviously, Bronx were disappointing on the weekend, but, they might bounce back. There's plenty of ability there. But, mate, I'm looking forward. I'll be up there Friday and Saturday, so looking forward to it. It's a great initiative. Like, Queensland's a spot to do it. I went up last year, I think, as well. And, yeah, it's a good event, because everyone seems... if you're guys and you've all got mates, that's the sort of trip, because everyone's team's playing in the one spot. They all go up, creates a good buzz around.
Everyone's in a
city.
good mood too. There's no bullshit with anyone.
Exactly.
Really,
and then as players, because guys, multiple club supporters sit in the crowd. Every game is played in front of a good crowd, which is what you want to do as a footballer. Play in front of big crowds and do that. So yeah, looking forward to it. It's always a great weekend.
Beautiful. Where can people find you on a Friday? Have you got an event on?
Friday, what have I got? I've got a lunch on, but that's not a public thing.
It will be if you shout out.
And then I've got I think I'm in a box with a sponsor thing on the Friday night, and then on Saturday morning, I think at 10 a.m, I've got a Mad Monday function somewhere too, but I think that's sold out as well, so... Maybe you'll just see me around the traps.
Beautiful.
Boy.
I'll be out there too, and if you see me, feel free to buy me a beer. I'm the sort of guy I am. Thank you, Benny.
Too.
Yeah, and Jimmy. Thank you, Benny.
Thanks
for hobbling in.
Always.
Thanks, Jimmy. Pleasure as
no
always.
worries.
We'll do it all again. Benny and Jimmy will do it next week. I'll be still in Brisbane, but looking forward to leaving it in your hands.
It's about to go rogue.
On the Monday, is it?
No, on the Tuesday, I think.
We'll discuss that off air.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, it'll be up somewhere on news.com.au. Subscribe to The Extended Bench, of course. Find us on socials, and we'll talk soon, guys.